This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe. And well, Bleu Davinci is doing a lot of interviews about the whole BMF thing, because in a couple interviews from different members, he's been called a snitch. Now, you can't call him the type of snitch. There's different kinds of snitches, okay? I've seen plenty of cases. You all have seen plenty of cases. It's all on the internet now. There's stories. Plus, I'm sure you guys know some people, okay? You could be a confidential informant for years, and it won't really show up in paperwork, okay? You could tell somebody something, or you could have been willing to cooperate but not have any actual things to tell anymore, And I think that's what happened in Blue's case. Bleu is not the BMF snitches, okay? Bleu Davinci, see, these guys went about it wrong with Bleu Davinci. All they had to do was say, this guy was an artist on BMF Entertainment. He had nothing to do with what we were doing. He went out to the clubs and all that, and he looked like a big dog because we were doing what we were doing in the street, and nobody would mess with him because we were the guys. It's like being down with a gang anywhere, Sometimes people won't mess with you because you're down with that gang, right? So anyways, you know what it really is? I've watched a lot of his interviews now, and I've seen other people's interviews. Bleu is upset because he had this vision. He thought this was his big break. He's not that great of an artist, but he would have been a good addition to BMF Entertainment as one of the heads of the label because he was a go-getter. He knew about branding. He was good at branding. He knew what to do with the money he had access to. He was good at finding talent, obviously, right? Because he did introduce Big MEECH and Jeezy. Okay, I think he had a pretty good vision. Kind of. The songs he released were really bad. The song with E40 and the singer on it, but there's a song after that with Fabulous that I really like. He had a good ear for some beats, too. Some of the stuff he was picking was good. I can't say the guy's horrible, okay? I just didn't think he was the best artist, okay? He wasn't as believable. Now, Jeezy was believable. Jeezy obviously was heavily influenced by Big MEECH. Not by Bleu Davinci wasn't dressing him and everything. Jeezy's from down south. He got a little bit more exposure to different people being around people in BMF. And he was influenced. He was influenced by MEECH and all the other guys. Not one person was dressing him. He just, it influenced him, It influenced his raps and everything and made him a better person, as life should. Being around other people, it helps you become the person you're going to become. Bleu Davinci's so hurt about everybody calling him a snitch when, he did take the safety valve. His lawyer did stand up in front of the court and say that he's willing to participate and cooperate. He just doesn't have anything that they didn't know yet. But they kind of still had to honor it because he did tell them everything he knew, but he was arrested later. They already knew all the stuff. He wasn't really around that kind of stuff. He was around the guys, but he wasn't involved in daily operations of BMF, the drug game. He was involved in BMF Entertainment. He would go to the studio. He'd line up the club stuff, he would do all that kind of stuff, right? He's admitted this. I'm not just making this up. He said this, okay? And other members said he wasn't really around it like that. He was the artist, and that's fine. But Big MEECH obviously didn't have big plans on becoming the biggest rap label in the game. I think he enjoyed music, wanted to be a part of the game, but was addicted to selling coke, okay? Because he was the man. He controlled the nation when he was doing it. Him and his brother were doing everything. So when Bleu Davinci tries to play Big MEECH and say, he didn't understand business. He didn't understand when I was out west and Jeezy didn't sign the contracts he was going to go sign with other labels. MEECH didn't have the business sense to say, no, we need publishing on that. MEECH isn't a scumbag. MEECH knew he was being investigated. He told there's plenty of interviews where Big Meech knew he was under investigation because he was paying people to keep an ear to all that stuff. He knew he had a federal investigation. At that point, Bleu Davinci was already a part of what they were doing and around him all the time. Jeezy was not signed to anybody, right? He wasn't finna go sign Jeezy and implicate him in BMF's problems. He would rather him go off and become whoever he's going to become and know he was a part of that. He probably expected a little more loyalty from Jeezy as far as like, yo, put some money on my books and this and that. Maybe he didn't get everything he was expecting from that, but that's just people for you. But to say that like he was dumb for not signing Jeezy, no, I think he was being a stand-up guy not signing Jeezy, okay? Because if he had signed Jeezy, he would have put him in a whole different kind of indictment, okay? Bleu Davinci did some time. J-Bo did a lot of time. So if you're going to, like, I'm going to tell you, people who are insecure have the best stories. If you believe all Fat Joe's stories, you're out of your mind. I'm not saying Fat Joe's not a real guy, but his stories are great, but entertaining, but they are fabricated, okay? They're not as, he doesn't roll 100 deep everywhere, okay? You know, he's not the biggest, toughest guy the Bronx has ever seen, but he isn't a pushover either, right? Now, Bleu Davinci, people were like, well, I believe his story because he's so quick at telling everything. Well, he's throwing certain details out there that people didn't need to know. If J-Bo ever was thrown in a trunk back in the day before he met, Big Meech or whatever, that could happen. That's part of being in the drug game. People get thrown in trunks sometimes, like maybe there's retaliation afterwards. But hey, when you're that guy, people want to get you. Bosses get killed. Bosses get messed with, okay? J-Bo was moving thousands of keys from the 90s. He met Meech late 97. Nobody's refuted that. Meech was operating out of Atlanta. They didn't move to Atlanta in 2001. It looks like they were operating out of here since the 90s. Then J-Bo was moving thousands of keys. He was the underboss because he was next in line. When Meech went away and got locked up for the double homicide, J-Bo was in charge. You don't just get put in charge because you're the clown of the crew. But Bleu Davinci's trying to paint him as clown of the crew. J-Bo seems like a very believable person to me. Everybody's always said good things about him. He did his time. He did a lot of time. Sosa, I think he has a little bit more to prove. The Sosa guy that does interviews, but he was the driver. He wasn't around all that kind of thing. He was the driver might be the most important crew. I love it when Bleu Davinci tries to play him like he was just the driver. The driver moves the money around and the drugs. It's probably super dangerous. You can get pulled over and go to jail for the rest of your life for the weight that's in that car. Like, oh, it's just the driver. That's a big part of the operation. So who doesn't get business? Big Meech gets business because he was moving keys and money around the whole nation. He was unifying different cities, just going in there and unifying cities with other cities and making a big distribution network. If that's not business, I don't know what is, okay? It's not legal, but he was setting up a more difficult business because it was illegal. I just cannot believe he's trying to discredit anything with Big Meech when we wouldn't even know who Bleu Davinci was if it wasn't for Big Meech and his money. Okay? The only reason Bleu Davinci was considered cool was because he was down with Big Meech, because that was Big Meech's artist, per se. But he let him tell it. He made BMF known and seen, but Big Meech kind of seems like he wanted it that way as a distraction. Didn't work that way. And Big Meech didn't have a good exit plan. We can all agree on that. I'm sure he can agree on that. I don't think he wanted an exit plan, to be honest. It was almost like The Wire. Remember, you got Two guys in The Wire. I forget their names because I haven't watched it in so long. But there was Idris. He was the guy that was like wanting to go corporate and get out of the game. And then you had Wood Harris, right? Who was the guy who wanted to sell dope till the day he died. Meech is the guy who wanted to sell dope to the day he died. I can't even say that Bleu Davinci was Idris, but there was no Idris. Maybe Terry had more of that plan. Maybe nobody did. But they needed a plan to go legit. But maybe I don't think they ever wanted to go legit. Let's just be honest. Okay. I think they liked having the influence of the record business. But to Meech, that was probably like, yeah, that money takes too long to come. I gotta wait how long to get the money back from my records? But I can get this much money back from this coke right now? Like, I don't know, He was younger, a different mentality. I'm sure the Meech today will tell you, like J-Bo does, that was a different part of my life. That's why you don't see a lot of back and forth. Bleu Davinci's hung up on that time. These guys are only talking about it because there's a show out now. That's it. They moved on. They lived that life. They lost a lot of their life living that life. And Jeezy ain't going to get into that. Jeezy's like at the end of his music career, Like these guys have moved on. The only person that hasn't moved on is Bleu Davinci. Jordan Tower, JT News. Peace.